In 1996, the murder of Angie Dodge shattered the peace of a small-town community in Idaho Falls. The crime remained unsolved for over 2 decades, leaving unanswered questions, a wrongful conviction, and a family desperate for justice. Through relentless determination and groundbreaking advances in DNA technology, the truth finally emerged, not only exonerating an innocent man, but also identifying the real perpetrator. This case became a landmark in forensic science, highlighting both the potential of genetic genealogy and the dangers of investigative errors. It stands as a poignant reminder of the human cost of injustice and the triumph of perseverance in the pursuit of truth. Welcome to X by X Confidential. Thank you for joining us as we delve into today's fascinating story. If you enjoy uncovering gripping mysteries like this one, make sure to smash the like button, subscribe to our channel, and hit the bell icon so you never miss our latest videos. Let's dive right in.
In Idaho Falls, Idaho, 18-year-old Angie Dodge lived on I Street in her own apartment, embracing her independence after graduating high school. She worked at a local beauty supply store and was part of a tight-knit group of friends known as the River Rats, who often gathered along the Snake River trails. Friends described Angie as vibrant and caring, a young woman excited about her future who had recently gotten her own place and was establishing her adult life. She maintained close ties with her family, especially her mother Carol, who later became instrumental in the quest for justice. June 13th, 1996, a workday in Idaho Falls, Angie's promising life was cut tragically short. Earlier that evening, she had spent time with friends before returning home alone. 18-year-old Angie Dodge failed to show up for her shift. Coworkers went to check on her at her street apartment. They had a horrifying discovery. Her throat slashed with devastating force. The Idaho Falls Police Department launched an extensive investigation. They collected crucial DNA evidence, including semen samples, hair, and blood. Crime scene technicians documented signs of a violent struggle. Initial neighborhood interviews included a conversation with Brian Drips, who lived directly across the street from Angie, a seemingly routine interaction that would prove critically important 2 decades later. For months, leads grew cold despite intense police effort. Then in January 1997, detectives learned of a sexual assault arrest in Ely, Nevada. The suspect, Benjamin Hobbs, was from Idaho Falls and knew Angie through a local social group called the River Rats, who frequently gathered along the Snake River trails. This tenuous connection led police to focus on Hobbs and begin questioning his associates. Among those brought in was 20-year-old Christopher Tapp. Over 14 days, detectives subjected Tapp to more than 60 hours of psychologically manipulative interrogation. They falsely claimed Hobbs had implicated him. They threatened him with the death penalty. They administered 7 polygraph tests, lying about the results. They showed him crime scene photos, feeding him details about the murder that only the killer would know. Through sleep deprivation and relentless pressure, they extracted multiple conflicting confessions. The interrogation tapes reveal a frightened young man slowly breaking down as investigators promised leniency in exchange for a confession. They offered immunity deals, then revoked them when his statements didn't match the evidence. When DNA testing excluded both Tapp and Hobbs, police simply shifted their theory, suggesting unknown accomplices and pressuring Tapp to provide new names. The coerced confessions and flawed investigation led to Tapp's 1998 trial. Prosecutors relied heavily on Tapp's videotaped statements, despite their inconsistencies with physical evidence. Detective Jared Farriman testified that Tapp knew details about Angie's clothing before seeing crime scene photos, a claim later disproven by reviewing the full interrogation tapes. A key prosecution witness, Destiny Osborne, claimed she overheard Tapp and Hobbs discussing the murder at a party, saying Dodge was killed over drug debts. This contradicted Tapp's statements that Angie didn't use drugs. Years later, in 2017, Osborne recanted her testimony, revealing police had threatened her with drug charges and coached her testimony. Though Tapp had alibi witnesses placing him elsewhere the night of the murder, prosecutors presented conflicting witnesses questioning their timeline. Most critically, the prosecution downplayed the DNA evidence excluding Tapp, theorizing multiple attackers despite crime scene evidence indicating a single perpetrator. The jury convicted Tapp on May 28, 1998. He received life in prison with a minimum of 30 years for murder and 10 years for rape. Appeals followed, challenging the coerced confession and immunity agreement violation, but courts repeatedly upheld the conviction. The breakthrough in Angie Dodge's case came through advances in DNA technology and genetic genealogy. In 2014, a first attempt using Y chromosome DNA analysis led investigators to filmmaker Michael Usry Jr., but his DNA was conclusively ruled out. In late 2018, genetic genealogist C.C. Moore at Parabon Nanolabs began analyzing the crime scene DNA using GeneMatch, a public genealogy database. She traced the killer's family tree to descendants of Clarence and Cleo Usry. After testing 6 male descendants without success, Moore discovered a 7th previously unknown suspect. Brian Lee Drips Sr. Drips had lived across the street from Angie in 1996 and was even interviewed during the initial investigation. In 2019, Idaho Falls detectives surveilled Drips in Caldwell, Idaho, retrieving a discarded cigarette butt. The DNA matched perfectly to the crime scene evidence. When questioned, Drips confessed to raping and killing Dodge alone, saying he was high on cocaine and alcohol. He admitted entering her apartment intending to rape her, but claimed the murder was unplanned. His confession matched the physical evidence that had always pointed to a single perpetrator. On July 17, 2019, Judge Alan Stevens fully exonerated Christopher Tapp. The first case in world history where genetic genealogy was used to both solve a crime and exonerate a wrongfully convicted person. The aftermath of Angie Dodge's case had far-reaching implications. Brian Drips pleaded guilty in 2021 and received a life sentence with a minimum of 20 years. In court, Carol Dodge, who had initially pushed for Tapp's conviction but later became his strongest advocate, told Drips, "You have shattered our family." Idaho Falls settled with Christopher Tapp for $11.7 million in 2022. Mayor Rebecca Casper issued a formal apology and pledged to reform police interrogation practices. The city enacted changes to prevent future wrongful convictions. The case transformed DNA investigation methods. This success helped establish genetic genealogy as a legitimate forensic tool, though it also raised privacy concerns about using recreational DNA databases for criminal investigations. Tapp devoted himself to reforming the justice system after his release. He worked with the Idaho Innocence Project to pass compensation laws for exonerees and advocated against deceptive interrogation tactics. His case is now used to train law enforcement about false confessions. Tragically, Tapp died in November 2023 following injuries sustained in Las Vegas. The Clark County coroner ruled his death a homicide. In March 2024, former wrestler Daniel Rodimer was charged with his murder. The case fundamentally changed DNA investigation and interrogation practices. The case also highlighted how public DNA databases can both solve cold cases and protect the innocent. This dual use helped establish genetic genealogy as a mainstream forensic tool.
Thank you so much for watching this episode of X by X Confidential. We truly appreciate your support and love exploring these incredible stories with you. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and click the bell to stay updated on our latest uploads. What are your thoughts on this groundbreaking case? Could it spark changes in today's justice system? Share your ideas in the comments below. See you next time.